On January 18, 1971, in the city of Misato, a bright and cheerful girl named Junko Furuta was born. She was the second of 3 children in a modest but loving family. For 17 years, her life was a reflection of innocence, determination, and the promise of a bright future. Tragically, that future was stolen from her in one of the most harrowing and shocking crimes in Japan's history. Junko Furuta was a hard-working and responsible student at Yashio Minami High School. Her classmates admired her for her dedication to her studies and her cheerful personality. Teachers often described her as a model student, someone who never hesitated to help others. Junko always had this infectious energy. She was the kind of person who could brighten up your day with just a smile. Junko had big dreams. She avoided the distractions many of her peers indulged in, like smoking or drinking, choosing instead to focus on her studies and her part-time job at a plastic molding factory. She was saving up for her future, determined to make something of herself. She was disciplined, hard-working, and had a really kind heart. Everyone thought she was destined for great things. On the evening of November 25, 1988, Junko was cycling home after her shift at the factory. It was supposed to be just another routine evening for her. But that night, her path crossed with someone who would change her life forever. Hiroshi Miyano, a known troublemaker with ties to the Yakuza, spotted Junko and decided to make her his next target. With Ogura's help, Miyano staged an ambush. He knocked her off her bike and pretended to help her, only to force her into a waiting car. Junko was taken to a house in Ayase, Tokyo, owned by one of the kidnappers, Shinji Minato. For the next 40 days, she would endure unimaginable suffering at the hands of Hiroshi Miyano, Joe Ogura, Shinji Minato, and Yasushi Watanabe. Her captors tortured her relentlessly. They raped her repeatedly, sometimes inviting others to do the same. They beat her, burned her skin with cigarettes, and forced her to consume cockroaches and drink her own urine. Her body was so severely beaten that she could barely move. Despite her injuries, Junko tried to escape multiple times, but each attempt was met with even more violence. Her captors believed their ties to the Yakuza made them untouchable. They mocked her pain and treated her suffering as entertainment. After 40 days of torture, Junko's body finally gave out. On January 4, 1989, her captors beat her with an iron bar and set her on fire after pouring lighter fluid over her. This was the final act of cruelty in a series of unimaginable horrors. Fearing arrest, they encased her body in a concrete drum and abandoned it in a vacant lot in Koto, Tokyo. Junko's life was discarded like garbage, but her story was far from over. On January 23, 1989, police discovered the concrete drum after one of the perpetrators, Joe Ogura, confessed during questioning for an unrelated crime. What they found inside was almost too horrific to comprehend. Detectives said, "I've seen many crimes in my career, but nothing could prepare me for this." The details of what they did to her were beyond human comprehension. Hiroshi Miyano, Joe Ogura, Shinji Minato, and Yasushi Watanabe were arrested and charged. However, because they were minors under Japanese law, they were tried as juveniles. Miyano received 20 years in prison, the heaviest sentence. Ogura, Minato, and Watanabe received sentences ranging from 7 to 9 years. These punishments sparked outrage across Japan, as many believed they were far too lenient for the severity of the crime. Junko's death left a permanent scar on her family, her community, and her nation. Her case exposed deep flaws in Japan's justice system and led to widespread calls for reform. And her family member says, We lost her in the most brutal way imaginable. No sentence can bring her back, but we hope her story can prevent something like this from happening again. Junko Furuta's life was taken too soon, but her story serves as a reminder of the importance of justice, compassion, and the fight to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.